Welcome to the Foster Friendly Podcast, where we come together to make a difference in the lives of children in foster care and the families who care for them. Foster Friendly communities are part of a nationwide movement by America's Kids Belong that helps people from all walks of life take action and help kids and families thrive. You'll hear from former foster youth, foster and adoptive parents, social workers, faith and business leaders, and other experts on how to engage in meaningful ways. Our hosts Brian, Travis, and Courtney explore inspiring stories of everyday people making a difference in foster care where they live and work.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Foster Friendly Podcast. I'm your host, Brian, with my hulkish co-host, Travis. And Travis, do you understand the reference?
No, I mean, everyone's like a giant Scrabble game word, and I have no idea what that.
No. So it was from a text that you sent me earlier.
Oh, Hulk. Okay.
H-U-L-K.
Okay. Brother. Okay.
Yeah. So, not Hulk the monster, but the wrestler, Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Brother. All right. So Travis is joining me today because Courtney was supposed to be on, but had a last second, supposed to head off to a vacation tomorrow. It all is falling apart. So Travis is jumping on while Courtney is saving the day for her family out there. And that phrase, by the way, just last night, my wife was visiting our grandkids, and we have lots, and our little 3-year-old one was wearing a Spider-Man outfit. Oh, he's not 3, he's 2. And he was called to dinner, and he said, "I can't come. I'm saving the day." And so that's our thing. Speaking of saving the day, we have our guests with us, Greg and Valerie. And Greg and Valerie, we've known them for a few years. They've been made a huge impact with work done in kids in foster care, both personally, but also throughout their community and state in Kentucky. So Greg and Valerie, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This is great.
Would love to introduce a little bit more about your guys' where you are today in your lives and what life is like at home. Once you do that, tell us like, what does a little snapshot of your household look like in today's world?
Well, the reality is that the CEO of the household is Valerie, and she makes everything happen. And
yes,
we are partners in our careers and professional life, but it's what she does to be committed to our kids and the family unit is a huge blessing. For me as a husband, but we do it together. And so my success is her success, and it all happens because she's truly CEO of our 4 walls and our 4 kids. And so do you want to share what you deal with every day? Which I would not trade.
All right. Greg. Valerie, how is Greg doing as your employee?
Oh, he's out of office a lot. He's not at home.
This is like a 360 review.
Yes.
It works well. His job is very demanding, so it's a blessing that I get to stay home and manage everything else. And that's all I ever prayed for. And I'm right where I want to be. Hurting all these kids, and now they're all young adults. I shouldn't say kids, but we went from, having little ones to now they're almost, 1 foot out the door. So teenagers have been really fun experience. So we're in the thick of it right now. Okay. So 4 teenagers, 2 boys, 2 girls, right?
15, 16, 18, 20, almost 22, 2 siblings. So we are adoptive parents. And we have 2 sibling groups of 2. So the older 2 are brother sister, and the younger 2 are brother sister. But the 4 of them truly, they're the Fab 4. I mean, they're brothers.
The Fab 4 making fun. Good music together.
So my engineering practice here in Kentucky takes me a lot of different states, and I have 8 offices, and it's taxing, but you got to find the time to juggle it all. And sometimes I feel like I'm everywhere and nowhere, but at the end of the day, we have a really good setup for managing and planning that out to ensure that I'm where I need to be every minute of my day. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I've been living up to a quote that Valerie told me about a year and a half ago, is basically, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And I think you got that probably from another podcast. She listens to a lot of podcasts. And I think about that almost every day. Every time I say yes, I'm saying no to something else. So it's really good centering and focusing, or where do I need to be? So
very wise words. So speaking of wise words, we're gonna do a little icebreaker here, and it's you guys live in Kentucky. It's Derby week during this podcast, and it just so happens that a couple days ago, if people were looking at my social media post back when I posted this, a couple days ago, I was with some horses as well, and it was kind of an equitherapy experience. And so, curious, your guys' experience with horses out there in Kentucky in Derby week. I'd like to know, do you have any horse experience? And what have you learned from horses that applies to parenting, raising kids, you're paying attention to yourself? Anything there? Or are we just going to strike out on this question?
No. It's cerebral and fun at the same time. Do you have something?
No, go ahead.
We've gone on horseback riding adventures.
Yes.
We've had some of our kids have had lessons, and I think we've always enjoyed our time with horses.
Yes,
and
but I try to steer clear after the lessons because it's an expensive hobby.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This is true.
Yes. The money pit hobby. Mm-hmm.
Time and land, and so I think we've enjoyed them from afar, but
I think I got to be careful what I say. I think horses are a blend of beauty, majesty, power, and total. They could be totally, spontaneous in their action. And there's a lot of human nature, human qualities to that sometimes what's on the outside isn't actually what's going on the inside. A lot of horses, you can't train them. You can't, they got a problem. They got a gait. They've got something with how they trot or how they run, or their timing's off, or they kick, or you can't saddle them. But they all horses are beautiful, and all horses really have an amazing brilliance to them. But like people, we all have something we're working on.
True.
So, and boy, are they unique. Yeah, like I said, from one horse to the next, you have to really be paying attention to that specific horse.
Completely. And you wouldn't know until you really get on and try to engage.
Yeah.
This is true.
It's close
So that's also true of kids and parenting. So yes, exactly. It's like, wow, each kid is he can't
and you don't know until you can't judge a horse by its cover, I guess, right? Just like a human.
Way to mix metaphors there. All right. Okay, so let's dig a little bit further into your guys' life. Travis, what should we ask them?
Well, so you've already kind of kicked off a little bit about your family, but I'd love to hear more from you guys just on, kind of adoption from foster care. Where did that whole genesis begin in your story with, looking for seeing that show up in your life?
Yeah, so I think it happened. We'd been married several years, and we were having a hard time having biological children. And we thought, well, in the meantime, while we're still working on that, let's look into adopting some kiddos. Our local adoption agency in Louisville, St. Joseph's Children's Home, has been around for over 100 years. And they always have a summer picnic. And so it's a big deal. Hundreds and thousands of people come out to this picnic and let's go and just check it out. And we had no intention of really, getting serious too quickly, but we were there and they had a booth to sign up to be foster parents. And we said, sure, why not? So we did that. And, before we knew it, a couple of weeks later, we're taking classes. So I don't know if you want to add anything more to that.
I think it was the moment we decided to sign our name on that line is when it all started. And it's kind of like the ship left the station and we never looked back. We definitely throughout our journey, even before we had our first placement, questioned and were nervous and can we really do this? And challenged, is this the right move? All that stuff. But the why and our compass pointed north the whole way through. Just that we had so much to give and so much to offer that we were willing to take the risk. And I think fostering is all about risk and people's threshold for risk. We don't like to use that word because it sounds like it's transactionalizing it, but it's true. Everyone's looking at risk and weighing that for their families and themselves. So that's kind of how we started.
Yeah, and once we were licensed, we got through the training, it was about a year before we actually took a placement, because it is a big choice, and we were, scared or nervous about what was going to happen. And so Greg pushed for an older sibling group that they were 7 and 10, and I was, I didn't know what to think and had no idea. And finally we just said yes, and that's our oldest two that we ended up adopting. And then 11 months later, our younger two were 5 and 6, came through the door, and everyone thought we were crazy because we went from 0 to 4 in less than a year. And we probably were a little bit crazy. But it really, the younger two coming in brought the older two, closer to us, and just unified our whole family. It just really, it was God's plan for sure.
So many other stories in between there, but that's the kind of the high level.
So when was that? Like, how long ago?
2014.
Okay, so 11 years ago, and you go from a family of 2 to a family of 6 within a year.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's wild.
And then within 3 to 4 years in total, starting our foster journey, we were almost family of 8. 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Other placements that we had that were either emergency placements or they were true placements that were going to turn into adoptive potential, but didn't work out. And that's a whole other conversation we could have. So that was going to be a thing. And we've just decided at some point that our journey was to really focus on our Fab Four and being all in on them, and then figuring out ways to advocate. Because we found ourselves mentoring and guiding other couples to consider the really complex nature of foster care. And we just thought, there's a multiplier effect that we really should let's focus on our 4. Let's do multiplier effect, advocacy, and respite where and when we need to.
Yeah, definitely want to look at the multiplier effect. Before we do, I want to pack a little bit more just about your guys' own personal journey. So you've got 2 sibling groups that you've come into your life, and you're continuing to foster. So just unpack that a little bit more. Like, what was it like where you've got 4 of the kids, 2 sibling groups, moving more and more towards permanency in your own home. Then you've got other kids coming in your life. Tell us about that season.
Yeah, it was pretty hairy for a while, and to put it lightly.
Yeah.
And not having our own children, there was that we felt, a need to create our own family, if you want to say it that way. But once we got to the point where we knew these 4 were going to stay with us, and they were leading towards adoption, it made it easier for us to say yes to other kids, because it wasn't as scary, and we knew we had so much love to give, and we saw the effects that it had on our 4, that we just felt like we had to say yes to everyone who asked. And I think the happiest moments are when we look back and there's a house full of 8 to 10 kids and it's just mass chaos. But I look back and those are the most happiest memories, because everyone is in a safe place and being cared for and just loving each other, and just there's a lot of happiness in the messiness, and we just really did a lot of that. So
the more kids together that have shared trauma or even shared negative experiences, and a lot of them couldn't even articulate their own trauma or their own issue, but they realize they're not alone, and they can they're not judged or they're not different. And I think that's what made our home, I think, comfortable for a while. Our 4 kiddos got to be really good at being welcoming and
I think
understanding.
It helped them process their trauma a little bit, or their situation, because we would have these pep talks before, okay, we're going to get another placement, here's what's happening. And, we need to be sensitive to this or that because these kids have this going on. And so it kind of made them get outside themselves and, have compassion for other children too. So I think it just really helped them adjust a lot.
Without putting burden on them to be like like we are the foster parents.
Right.
We just don't
Right.
want them to be kids, but you know, there were teenagers then at that point,
Mhm.
going into teenage years. It was good. Not for us.
Yeah, I was going to just, that really resonated with my own personal experience of being a house parent in a group home, where when you said chaos, this picture of like sometimes, 6 to 8 kids in there, and just that feeling of like everyone's having a good time most of the time, but it's pretty wild and stuff like that. And to see that they did have their peers who they're sort of ambassadors to even like foster care, like, hey, we're in here. And like there was something about them being able to kind of help each other with that. It was pretty cool. So,
Yeah. We get asked a lot about from couples who have kids of their own biological children, wanting to consider foster care and asking about that. And it's an impossible question to answer from our perspective, because you have to look at the dynamics, the ages, and are their kids ready? Kids are generally selfish. They want to see, well, what's in it for me, and what does this mean, less time for mom and dad, and so everyone needs to weigh that. If those who are considering with their own biological children, it's a very common thing to consider, and it can be done. And you have to weigh that and the types of placements you get. We just found that it actually brought more joy to the home, brought a lot of challenges, but by and large, it was a healthy thing to have kids in the home.
Yeah, that's with our interviews. Some of our most popular ones are the sibling ones, where we interview other kids and like, what's it like? And I didn't know that this is where our conversation would go, but I really appreciate that we're landing here for a little bit. And I saw a quote just a few days ago. It said, the best thing you can give a kid is our brothers and sisters. And whether that's permanent or even temporary, there is, again, in the foster care community, there are, these kids in foster care many of them do refer to these other foster families as a kind of family, and foster brothers and foster sisters. What would I know you're speaking for them and maybe you want to be cautious about it. What would you say it was like for your own kids, the 4 that you've adopted, when they were having other kids come into their life? Was there a sense of jealousy, envy, insecurity of like, how come they're not staying, or to unpack that a little bit?
That's a good question.
I think if you ask all 4 of them that question, you'd probably get slightly different answers. But by and large, I think they all look back on it like they were helping too. There isn't any desire to want to help in some way. I don't think in the moment they thought they were helping. I think
they would make welcome signs and do up the extra bedrooms really nicely, and put their stuffed animals. They were just really
girls would help with the other girls' hair. I think they look back on it fondly. I don't think they were burdened by it. I don't think it was a cross or a chain that was weighting them down. I think they looked at it as, hey, we're benefiting we were foster kids and now we're getting adopted. These other kids don't have a home, so we got a nice house. We got to do a lot of fun things. We got this big yard. Hey,
and they probably thought, if mom's busy with those 2 new kids, then we can get away with this over here.
All right. That's right.
I don't think that they looked at it. Our kids did not look at it as an erosion of our attention.
No,
I feel like,
and I think especially since I'm a stay-at-home mom, and no one was being left out at any time because I was there constantly. So I think that's a huge help.
I think it's largely positive memories.
Yeah.
So I think the ones that were hardest were the ones that we thought we were going to adopt, and so that just changes your. It's different if it's emergency placement and they're going to be there for a week, and it's popcorn and pancakes and movies, and it's all great. To the hardships of beyond a week into months, and you go into a year of like maybe you're adopted, and then they're pulled back. That's hard, and that changes the mindset for the kids too, and that's not fair to them to have to process that.
But they're resilient, and I think we talk about those kids all the time.
Just this week,
they have therefore they fall back on each other a lot to process that, I think. But we do keep all the kids we've ever had walk through our door, we have a picture of them on our wall. So we can always pray for them and
That's
think about
cool.
them. And yeah, so I
That's
think
great. I love that.
Yeah.
That you have to remember what these other kids are going through. They're hardened and they're hurt, especially those who have been in the system for a while, and they're more scared than we are. We have stability. I mean, our family unit is stable. So whatever we're fearful of doesn't pale in comparison to theirs.
Right.
And the kids come, they're just going to challenge that you don't love me. I'm going to challenge and make sure you don't love me. And our kids have the ability with us to kind of reinforce that there's stability, and we've got rules in the house, and we do as rules, but we have to too. So,
yeah,
true. Yeah.
Well, you guys have a powerful personal story, and we could spend the rest of the time just unpacking that. But I wanted to focus on what you guys have done that's even beyond your own household. And so, I picture you guys like a rock tossed into a pond. You're making a splash, but I want to focus on the ripples that have happened and what you've done there. So you guys have a really full life. You have 4 kids. You've been fostering. On top of that, you have a business that you own, but you've dedicated a lot more time and energy and to have an outsized impact. So tell us why. I mean, why have you decided like, hey, let's go beyond our family and be advocates?
I think it's important. One thing that just pops into my brain is that when we were doing all of this, foster care in our social circles, family circles, was something no one had ever done before. And so we were literally going out and just, making this path that we didn't know anything about, our family didn't know anything about. And so we really didn't receive a lot of help per se. Like we didn't have, there wasn't, we were doing it all on our own. And so going forward now, I want to share any kind of tips or tricks or hacks that I can with any foster families. I want to try and give them wraparound support because you have 8 kids in the house. When you're used to not having any, you need help with meals and any kind of little support kind of just gives you that morale boost to just keep going and keep doing it. And I think that's important because we need foster families to keep saying yes. A lot of them get overwhelmed with, some cases sometimes, or they don't feel like they're supported and they leave. But we just need people to keep saying yes. Because we can't do it all.
No. Honestly, it was starting to feel after, I don't know, 30, 34, 35 kids. It started to feel like, gosh, we're not making it. Like we're not even moving the needle. This is work. It is work. It's rewarding work, but it seems like we're just not having the impact. The ripple that America's Kids Belong made coming to Kentucky came at the perfect time for us when we're like, okay, now wait, what if we got onto that ripple and we created more ripples from that and amplified the impact? And so the timing was great for us to get involved in more advocacy initiatives and leveraging my network, personal network, blending our family with your marriage to have an impact on our community. And so now we've got 10x more kids adopted than we ever adopted because we helped fuel positive outcomes that AKB, America's Kids Belong, is seeding. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's as a similar story to my wife and I, who fostered and then felt like we needed to help mobilize others to do it. So, Greg, people who maybe don't understand running a nonprofit. Running a nonprofit is like running 2 businesses, because the one that gets the work done and fulfills the mission. The people that you do to help that, they can't afford what you're providing. So kids can't pay us to help them find families. So then we have to depend on other people to fund it. And so that's the other side of the business. and then I run out of friends to fund it. So then we got to have people like you who say, you know what, we can help with not just the advocacy and helping with your mission, but we can help with funding the mission. And so you've done a fun event that's been successful, that's really helped fund the work in Kentucky. And so I'd love for you to share that and see if that could inspire any listeners to think, I could do something like that too.
Yeah. So when we Brian and I first were chatting about how can we be involved, I thought, we got to raise $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
How can we raise $100,000?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone loves golf outings, and people love to sponsor things. Top Golf just came to our community, and we thought, what if we had a tournament? And so we have a group of us. There's a group of couples here in Kentucky that are they're so gracious with their time, and they're all in with us, and we're a really close group, and we all kind of rallied around, that's the idea we want to go with. We had a couple other ideas too.
Mm-hmm.
But we thought the risk was low enough and the upside was significant enough to where let's just try it. It was a safe to try experiment.
Mm-hmm.
That the worst thing that could ever happen is we cover our costs.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
we made people aware of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was just kind of like, what the heck? It was a literally what the heck moment. And so we ended up we did about 100,000 or so.
Almost.
Yeah.
First
We
year.
netted a little bit of that. But, and then we did it again last year, and we netted about 120. So a little about 30 more or so. And you'd be surprised what corporate support can do. I think individuals are their limitations. They've got their churches, they've got the community things, they've got their kids' activities. But corporate support is different. And I have never met a business in our city that doesn't want to feel like they're engaged in their own community. And so long as you have a compelling why and you have a connection, you can find those partners who are willing to show up, play around a golf, sponsor a lane.
Yeah, I think in any community you're going to find that people will want to say yes to help foster care. They really do, because I think a lot of people feel like they could never do it themselves, but they are very eager to help. And I think whatever thing that you decide to do as a fundraiser, they're going to say yes. I mean, who says no to children? Speaking from personal experience, I think a lot of people want to say yes and help.
Yeah. I think there's, I'm going to make these numbers up. Okay. But I'd say if there's 100,000 people in a community, adults, 50,000 of them would love to find a way to help kids in foster care somehow, some way. Only about 1% will actually be interested in doing foster care, and a fraction of that will actually foster.
Right.
So what do you do with all the other 49 point?
Yeah, that's leaving a lot of people on the sidelines, right?
Like, I want to do something, but I can't commit to that. I'm empathetic. Yes, it's a problem. I acknowledge it's a problem. I don't know what to do about it, but I can write a check for $3,000 to sponsor a hole at Top Golf and 6 of my employees to go. And in the process, we're going to get 4 kids adopted.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
That story is way more compelling, and it's a way easier ask. To ask them to write a check for that amount. It's not $30,000. I'm asking for $3,000 on average. So our goal now is to get outside of our own spheres and circles that we have, and use our team to expand our reach throughout Kentucky a little more. And hopefully one day, maybe it's this year, maybe even rent out a second floor. So we rent an entire floor. Maybe we'll get a second floor, and we'll see.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's fun. Everyone comes together. Our kids come together. It's a big family event for all of our teams.
It's like 300 people, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
2 floors. We could get 600 people in there.
If we did,
That'd be great.
Wow.
Crazy. Even as you say that, I go.
Greg and some of the other teams think big, and then Dana and I, our state manager, Dana and I sit in the background and go like this, but
What do we do with this?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're doing another event. It's a Safe to Try experiment again this spring. It's actually this month, May. That's kind of fun. We could talk about that later, but we're doing we did some barrel picks with some bourbon, Elijah Craig bourbon. And
because we are in Kentucky.
You're in Kentucky. Yes.
Again, Safe to Try experiment. We're going to try to give away some bottles in exchange for some donations.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. Yeah, if you guys were in Idaho, you'd you'd sell potatoes to people. I guess I don't know, potato pull.
No, it is fun. Well, one of the things that's really cool just in this conversation too is it's a reminder, and you both have said this, but just that awareness is as crucial as having, new foster families step in. In fact, we've talked a lot about attrition and how, if the nation already is short by half the foster parents needed, and every year 50% are quitting, there's this cultural thing of just attrition. It plagues foster care. So when we can shore up the people and give, and there's always going to be good reasons you may adopt and, to why you step out. But for those that feel unsupported or isolated or alone, or that businesses don't see them, what you guys are doing, what Kentucky Kids Belong is doing, America's Kids Belong is doing, is shoring up support. And I think we really will see less families quit that normally would have. So that's really exciting. So going into more of your story on this, Val, you've kind of been the face, at least sometimes in Kentucky, and I've seen some of the news stories you've been on, and doing just an awesome job being a face sort of for Kentucky Kids Belong, for the need. Tell us more about just what has it been like to kind of be featured in these stories, and what have you learned from kind of doing that?
Well, I learned that people are eager; they want to learn more about it, because it is this, like, everyone looks at it and thinks, "Oh my gosh, how do you guys do that? That's so hard." And oh, you must be these special people. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're very normal people who just saw the need. We're bound and determined to have a family and had so much to share. But I just want to make everyone know that this is not, you don't have to have special skills, and anyone can say yes. You just have to get outside of your comfort zone and ask questions, and that's why I want to do any interview that anyone asks. I was very uncomfortable doing them at first. It's not in my wheelhouse. He loves this, but I'm learning because I want to share everything that I can to make it not seem so weird or not seem so scary. I just want to, if anybody I'll offer coffee with anybody who wants to talk foster care. Because if I can get one person to learn more, then I feel like that ripple effect will continue. But it's just so easy to be on fire for, because what higher purpose or what greater thing do we have to do in this world than this?
So I'm curious, Val. I mean, there might be some people out there who are foster and adoptive parents who want to amplify their voice, and they would be good ambassadors for it. And, they're not just trying to seek limelight. If that's what you want, please don't do this. But if you are just a humble person who feels that you want to amplify your voice, how did that happen for you? How did all of a sudden you got, media outlets saying, can we talk to you about this?
Well, that's so, being connected with the Catholic Church in our community, we have a really large archdiocese. So we actually, some of our friends were connected to some of those outlets. And so that was, good. Being, active in our church led us down that path. And they just asked us to share. And I think we had a lot of, right to life movements and things like that they wanted to incorporate foster care with, because I think that kind of gets forgotten in that field a lot. But yeah, just knowing different people at different churches and saying, hey, can I come and talk to your group then or there, or just, putting yourself out there.
No.
We had one person show up, at one of the meetings, and I'm like, it's one person could still have an effect. So it's
I have so many thoughts on this that are tangential to your question. But
yeah, go ahead.
Foster care and faith are totally in alignment. Christ is Christ and Saint Joseph is the foster father of Christ, for as one example. And so our faith communities have a tremendous opportunity to have impact outside of Sunday service, to support and engage with families to normalize foster care. And we think it's a big miss. And we think faith communities really need to explore and unpack how can they incorporate foster care into their into their mission. And that's one piece. The second piece is if you want successful outcomes as a couple and you want to go forward and do it, approach foster care well and have success, whatever that is for you. I think there's 3 ingredients. One is having a sound relationship in your own marriage and relationship with your spouse and partner. If you don't have that, foster care is not going to fix that. It will challenge it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right. That's true.
Number 1. Number 2, you need to be in the right stage and frame of life and frame of mind. So if you're not ready for it in your life and have the fortitude personally, that's an issue. And then third is you have to have faith. I think now, is it a must-have? I think it's like you really should have, and that's where I think again the blend of where the faith communities can support couples who are ready in that stage of life to blend the two together versus make it a separate thing, that it's all the same, it's all in one ecosystem, is where you get amazing outcomes. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Let's keep going down kind of those lessons of that you encapsulated in those 3 points. So together, Greg and Val, what would you say as a couple that you share with other couples? You probably have done this multiple times of like, hey, here's how we would want to share what our story and encourage you to consider taking your next step. What would you share?
I'm going to defer to my CEO.
We've done several dinners with friends of ours that, they're almost like we've thought about it. They've done their research, but there's just that one more thing that they're worried about. And I think at the end of the day, if you check all of those things, like he said, you have all, your marriage is good, you're in the right place, you have faith, and they're still kind of hung up on that, whatever the 4th or 5th point might be. At the end of the day, we say, what have you got to lose? You're going to get attached to whatever child might come in, and that's fine. That's what you should do. But we love each other. We fill each other up, and God fills us up. And these children don't have that. And so whatever your hang up is, or whatever these kids need our love more than we need anything else.
I like that. Yeah.
You also de-risk yourself by trying respite care. Go get certified. Do respite.
Yeah.
And if respite kind of works out well, you like that, sign yourself up for emergency placement. And you can baby step in. There's other ways to support these kids who they have needs, and you can have an impact, and they're going to remember you forever.
Yeah.
They may not remember your name, but they'll remember that impact you made. And
we had several friends of ours that got into it. They started with respite, and then they, gradually went on to do more, and they've adopted, several kids since then. So
it is hard. It is challenging. You will be challenged. You will be tired. You will not sleep some nights. You will have all of that. But it's kind of the same, I think, if we had our own kids too.
Yes.
Right?
This is true.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know what's different. It's all hard.
Yeah.
But the outcomes are rewarding in that we're creating souls who are ready to beget lives that are rewarding and fulfilled.
Yeah.
We think.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, I do love too that you're just being real. You're normalizing very much that you had fear, that we have fear when we step in a space and so I think when you normalize that, because I think there's a lot of people are like, well, you had the courage to just do it, or you didn't have trepidation or whatever. And like, no, it's like, the point is to do great things often requires a leap. And that's where you talk about faith. Reminds me too of a great line said, the world's changed by your example, not your opinion. And I think when people are seeing you guys be the face of this in your circles of influence, they're following your lead more than, anything. So as we kind of come to get this to the final part of the interview, Greg, what would you tell then, pivoting to businesses, looking at this issue in their community? What would be your message to them as far as coming alongside families?
Yeah, I would say foster care is something that affects all of us in our communities. If you looked out the street in any city dealing with homelessness, I guarantee you that person was probably in foster care. I don't have the percentages, I don't have the rates, but strong chance they were in foster care. If you want to look at mental illness and you want to look at prison rates and all that, it probably has a direct correlation to foster care. So if you want to make an impact in your community, helping find ways to get these kids into loving homes where they're literally waiting to be matched is a very low bar where you can make a big impact on. And you marry that with the fact that you probably have people that are working for you that have a connection to foster care. Maybe they were adopted. Maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they have a sibling who they're doing respite care for their sibling who's fostering. There's so many connections to foster care that you showing that to your own people, there's a business play to show that you're compassionate about this cause that affects more people than you think in your business. So I think those two avenues are reasons enough to get engaged.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden, but as soon as you start talking about it, yeah, it's amazing how many people. I mean, every other Uber driver I know has had a foster care experience.
We were at dinner last night, and at a fundraiser gala, and the woman with us, her sister is adopted.
Yeah,
and they're in their 30s now, and they're helping each other navigate life together, and they were touched by it. I mean, It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And it is everywhere, though at the same time, it kind of gets hidden, especially in the business world, where when they want to make an impact in their community, they look out and they're like, well, there's typically homelessness, addiction, and maybe human trafficking. Those are the three bad things in the world. And it's like, there's more than that. And a lot of them go upstream to a kid who did not have a family that was safe.
100%.
So, yeah.
100%.
Well, you two, you've been a huge blessing to me and to so many people in Kentucky, and not obviously the kids. Like I said, you've outsized your impact. I mean, I don't know how to say, you know what I mean. And but you've gotten businesses involved, churches paying attention to this. And you're a great example. And I would love for other people just to, again, consider your example and think, gosh, we can make a personal impact and believe, and that is enough. But if you feel called to say, I want to use our experience and find some way to leverage it and amplify it, I would encourage you to do what Greg and Valerie did, and because it touches so many lives.
Beautifully said, and we're undeserving of it. We're super, super normal and average, and I hope people listening to this know someone who might be thinking about it, who's probably pretty extraordinary, who might be discerning. So we'll hope they'll consider it.
Well, thank you guys. God bless you. Really appreciate you joining us on this call and really appreciate what you guys are doing.
It was fun. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, will you help us reach more people by subscribing, sharing the podcast with a friend, and leaving a 5-star review? If you've been inspired by what you've heard today and want to learn more of how you can make a difference for kids in foster care and the foster families where you live, visit americaskidsbelong.org. We depend on individual donors to fund our work. We'd be grateful if you would consider joining us as a monthly donor. Visit americaskidsbelong.org to make your tax-deductible donation. Thank you. Together, we can ensure a family for every child in foster care and a foster-friendly community to ensure every foster family feels loved and supported.